this sugar cube, but it was like saturated in acid. I remember seeing it was all falling apart, you know, it was like all totally crumbling. It was like dissolving. So I just kind of put the bag and just kind of dumped it all in my mouth. And it was really hot. Like I said, it was just like kind of like muggy. And so I'd seen the opening act the day before that, which was Chuck Berry. Chuck Berry opened for the Grateful Dead. It was awesome. But he was doing it again for the second day, you know, and I'd already seen his act the day before that. And I was like, I'm going to take a little nap while Chuck Berry's doing his set, you know. And so I laid under this tree, like right when I got in the show, I laid under this tree. It was like the only shade I could find. And I passed out for a minute, you know, for maybe most of Chuck Berry's set was like maybe like a half hour or something. And I remember waking up and the acid had kicked in hardcore, you know. I woke up from this nap and just like, you know, I had to like realize where I was, but I was just like high as fuck. And so it was like waking up in a dream. It's really, and I could hear the Grateful Dead playing in the background. I'm like, oh man, it's like I'm in heaven, you know. It's so crazy. I woke up high as fuck at a Grateful Dead show, and the Grateful Dead were playing with Chuck Berry. They're playing. I stood up. I'm like, I'm gonna go fucking dance and go have fun, you know. And right when I was about to walk off, this dude grabs me from behind. He's like, "Are you okay?" And he shakes me, and it just fucking, dude, it freaked me the fuck out. And you know, I was like, I thought something bad was happening, you know, and I was fine, you know. I don't know. He didn't need to do that. But it was just security for the show. And he's all, yeah, we saw you lay down and take a nap right there for a minute. We were worried that you were having heat stroke or something. I'm like, I'm fine, dude. I got up and walked away. And I mean, you know, I was just like, wow, that really, but it set my trip kind of on a bad one. Because in the back of my mind after that, I kept feeling like someone was watching me. You know what I mean? Or like, it kind of set off this paranoia thing where I'm like, oh, you know, like, it just fucked me up. Because I normally wasn't like paranoid or anything, you know. But like, it was just, I was really high and he's freaked me out. And so the rest of the show was just so weird the way it took place. But like, I was calling every song. It was so crazy. And it got to the point, and I was like being really like, you know, when I'm really high, like I just become like a spectacle, you know, like more of a spectacle. But I was just like, you know, they're going to play this, you know, I was just people around me that that I knew, but I was just like, they're going to play this song next, you know, Jackaroo. And they play it, and I'm all, see, I told you, you know, and the first couple times people were like, yeah, right on, you know. And I'm like, okay, next song they're going to play, you know, just like Tom Thumb's Blues or whatever, and Phil's going to do, and they're like, are you sure, man? That's kind of a rare one. And Phil, you know, because Phil's a bass player, he only played a song every maybe 3 or 4 shows out of the tour. Like, it was kind of rare that Phil would play a song. He played it, and people are like, what the fuck, man? How did you know that? I'm like, it was coming to me. I'm like, but I was thinking of songs that I wanted to hear too. I'm like, I want to hear Tennessee Jet, and they play Tennessee Jet, and I call it, you know, people around me are starting to go, dude, how the fuck do you know every song they're going to play? That's crazy. And I did it all the way through the first set. I'm like, Music Never Stop, closer, and sure enough, it was Music Never Stop. And at that point, people were looking at me kind of like, dude, there's something up with you. That's weird. How do you know the band? Are you friends with them? I'm like, no, they don't use a set list. I mean, if you're a Grateful Dead fan, you know that. I'm like, I'm just on fire today, man. I know what they're doing, but I feel kind of like I'm telling them what to do. And people were kind of like, well, that's kind of weird, dude. You know, and I was kind of getting out there in my mind, you know, and I still had that weird sort of paranoia vibe going, but I think I was kind of making some other people feel paranoid because I was kind of just all, I was up there. I was out there, whatever. But what happened during the intermission was crazy. I found some of the people I was with, and I was sitting there in this circle of people who were smoking pot. And I was just like peeking, you know, and I was gone. I forget, I said something kind of cocky. I think, I just remember feeling kind of like, I wish I hadn't have said that. After I said it, I forget what it was. But I looked over at one of our traveling companions or whatever, this guy Zahn, who I'd always kind of had a weird feeling about him. He's just kind of a sketchy dude from Mendocino, but he had this look on his face, and that's when I saw this like supernatural thing. Like his face started tweaking and doing all these weird movements, and it looked supernatural to me. Like, and I hadn't seen anything that was like that prior to the part of the trip, you know. But like his face did all these tweaky weird things. It looked like I was watching a demon transform or something, and it was directed at me, and he was like, if you don't get the fuck out of here, I'm gonna freak the fuck out. And so I fucking stood up and bounced. I didn't try to like look back or nothing. I was just like, I'm out, dude. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen anyone's face do. It looked like I was watching a demon, like a person turn into a demon, and it was directed at me. Like, I don't like you. You got to leave. Unfortunately, he wasn't traveling in our car with us. He was just one of the people that we kept meeting at shows. He was a friend of my friend I was traveling with or whatever. So I didn't have to like sit with him after the show or anything. But I mean, it's like I did talk to that guy about it later, and like he's totally like had no idea that that happened, but I saw it happen. It was real in my mind. But this isn't what the reason why I told this story, because at that point I felt like there was some weird shit going down, and at that point, because I felt like I was in the Grateful Dead's mind for like the whole entire set, and like I really did feel like that, you know, and people around me were kind of getting weirded out, and because of that, it kind of boosted my confidence even more, and I was really feeling like I was in some sort of collective mind. And you know, when that dude's face did that, you know, and I bound, and, like it set me like everything that was happening was kind of setting this tone of like, dude, you're becoming like the god of this show, kind of thing. Like, you're like you're in everybody's head, you know, and some people aren't responding to it too well, you know, and like it's just, but it got even more intense, and fucking. Okay, so like basically the second set started, and I was telling everybody they're gonna play Shakedown. Second set opener. I was walking around. I was like telling everybody, I'm like, they're gonna play Shakedown. This is it right here, Shakedown. It's like the big hit everybody loves. Everybody wants to see Shakedown Street. That's the song the Grateful Dead play. Did you see Shakedown? You know, if you like, did they play Shakedown? And they hadn't played it yet on that tour. And I'm like, this is it right here, guys. This is it, Shakedown. And like some of the people that had seen me, you know, I was like, I was really being like verbal, you know, and this kind of a spectacle, like I said. And some of the people were like, "Are you sure, dude? You got all those songs right the first set. Are you sure they're gonna play Shakedown?" Fuck, sure enough, they came out with Shakedown. At that point, like it just got. I think the whole trip had gotten a little bit too intense for me. I was I was basically just like I felt like I was controlling people and like the show, and like I was like I didn't mean to come in here and like orchestrate the whole show. This was kind of crazy, and you know this is all going on in my mind, right? You know, and I was starting to feel kind of fucked up. Like I didn't. It's like this isn't how I want to be. I just kind of had this realization, like, why do I want to be king of this show, or like what the fuck is going on here? I feel kind of fucked up. I get this weird insecure feeling like I shouldn't be doing this. I'm messing with something that's just like way too powerful. And it was, but like what I was thinking. Here's what was going on in my mind. I'm like, I need to either leave this show or go get up on stage and start playing the show. But here's how it played out though. The second I had that thought, I'm in the middle of like 10,000 people, you know, dancing at this like shakedowns. It's like the song that everybody loves, you know. It's at the end of the song, and it's like they do this long jam at the end of the song, you know. But like the second I had that thought, the entire crowd of people parted, and and the part ended at me. I looked past me, nobody was parted behind me. So I just started walking down this aisle that had formed the second that I thought I better get out of here or to go get on stage and start playing the show for them. And so the second I had that thought, the whole crowd parted, and the Grateful Dead, like, boom, they went into this little jam that was like really quiet, and they weren't really doing anything. They're just like dunk, 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 just replaying that same little riff over and over. It's like, what are you gonna do, dude? I'm like, well, they're like, it seemed like they were waiting for me to come get up on stage and tell them what to do, because I at that point I'd given up on like controlling the show, you know. And they're just like dunk, 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 just playing the same riff. Usually they jam and do all this crazy stuff, you know, but they're just like, because I was like, I don't want to control the show anymore. I'm out of here. And so the crowd parted. I'm walking down this aisle. The Grateful Dead are like playing this thing. It's just skipping. Nobody's dancing anymore. They're all looking at me. And Grateful Dead just were like up there. They didn't know what to do because I wasn't controlling the show anymore. And so I'm walking down this aisle, just like looking at everybody that's looking at me. They're not looking at the stage, you know, where you should be looking. They're looking at me as I'm walking down this aisle. And I'm looking over at the band. They're all just kind of looking at me too, just playing the same riff. I'm like, what the fuck? So I finally walk all the way down the aisle, and I see the aisles kind of closing up behind me as I'm going. So it's not like there was somebody else that they had to carry out with a stretcher or something, you know? It wasn't anything like that. I was the only one that walked down this aisle, closed back up after I walked down. And as soon as I get to the end of the walkway there, I realized that I just walked out of the show. It was like the exit door right there. And I'm like, oh, and I had this weird like change of heart all of a sudden. I'm like, oh wait. And I went to go back into the show, and they're like, nope, you can't come back in. You left. I'm like, oh shit. And right when that happened, the song ended, all awkward, and everyone started applauding, you know. But the entire crowd of people was looking at me. They were applauding. Yay, you finally left. All right. Everyone's all, yeah, they're looking at me. The stage is over there. I just finally got out of this concert, but I tried to come back in, and they're like, no, you can't come back in. I'm like, oh, late. And then the song ended, and everyone's all, yay. They're all looking at me. I'm standing there going, what the fuck? So I just walked away with my tail between my legs, you know, and